Hi everyone, this is an astrology report on the new moon in Taurus that's happening on the 7th or the 8th of May, depending on where you are in the world. For us in the UK, it's happening on the 8th of May at 4:21 a.m. So for some of you, it's going to be happening on the 7th of May. Apply your own time zones as appropriate, as always. But this new moon, of course, it's a new moon. So it's a new lunar cycle. It's a new beginning of sorts, and it's the opportunity for us to work with the lunar energy to manifest and set our intentions. And being in Taurus, earth energy, this is about what we're wanting to ground into our reality, what we're wanting to experience in our physical surroundings. And the key to this is, of course, aligning it with our worth and values. So knowing our worth, first and foremost, owning that, and upholding our values. Very important for Taurus season generally. We've come out of Aries season where that's been about the self and embodying that warrior spirit, the sovereignty, being the leader of our own life, cardinal energy, so really wanting to get things started, taking action on what we want, and being motivated to do that. And now, of course, yes, it's earth energy. There's more of a grounded feel to it, but it's fixed. So, it's fixed earth energy. So this is having a fixed vision of what we want to experience in our physical reality, those physical surroundings. We know, most of us certainly, if it's not resonating for all of you, that we need to engage with the 5D via our intuition. But of course, what we're experiencing on Earth is 3D reality. So we need to engage our intuition to, of course, guide us forward on our journey, as always, utilizing that inner compass, very important. But we're wanting to experience a reality that we can shape for ourselves. Remember, leader of our own life, sovereignty, okay? That's where it needs to come from. And now this is really grounding it into, okay, I know my worth with all of that, and I'm going to uphold my values and what I believe in, because this is the reality I want to experience for my life, okay? And having a fixed view on what that is. Taurus can sometimes be termed quite stubborn energy, okay? But what I will say on the plus side is that there's a very determined energy. So it's almost like once a Taurus has made their mind up, they've made their mind up, okay? It's fixed. So this is really supporting that energy of understanding, okay, we need to have a fixed vision about what we're trying to manifest here, but knowing our worth enough to believe that we can create it for ourselves. We're in the driving seat here, okay? And that's where the challenge can come in, because of course, there's still shadow work going on. There's still healing going on. There's still this energy of transformation that's going on. Things are shifting and changing around us in our reality anyway. So we're having to really kind of roll with the tides here and understand that, okay, we are in the driving seat. We've had to kind of ebb and flow a bit with the energy and with situations, experiences, challenges, everything that we need to face in life. But now this is about owning our sovereignty first and foremost, understanding that we are the leader of our own life, even if we've been led to believe that we're not, we've been told that we're not, or society doesn't really allow us to be in that perceived illusion. Instead, this is about owning it. And when you think of the Empress in Tarot, if you're familiar with that, the Empress embodies all of the energy of all of the queens. So it's sovereign personified, okay? She sits on that throne, knowing her worth and knowing that she can get what she wants by being grounded in her worth and her values. So this is, and again, regardless of gender, because I'm talking about a tarot card that represents a feminine, but regardless of gender, this is about embodying that type of energy of sovereignty, of sitting on the throne and owning it. Okay, and I'm not talking about toilets. I'm talking about sovereign throne here, with a crown on your head. So it's very important to have that within as a foundation, really. And it might feel at times that you're feeling less than sovereign because there's just too much going on around. And I completely resonate, and I'm sure many people resonate with it because of everything that we've had to go through. But this is about now understanding that the reality that we want to experience is attainable, but we need to believe in ourselves and we need to own our worth, okay, in relation to all of this, in order to have that fixed vision of what we want to experience. Now, I have got some divination tools here, just oracle cards, wisdom of the oracle, and a couple of moonology decks. So no tarot today. I will timestamp it at the end. I will, of course, show you the UK's chart just to show you where this new moon is happening, okay, for some context with the house systems as well. And I will, of course, pull up the chart to show you the event of the new moon. But before I do that, what I will say is there are a couple of notable things going on, and they do relate to expansion. There's still that energy of expansion because there is a trine from the moon and the sun to Ceres, and there's also a trine from Jupiter and Uranus to Ceres. So this is still the energy of change, expansion. There's some nurturing to it as well with Ceres, okay? But it means that that soul essence energy and the emotional home is being supported in that way, of having that fixed vision of what we want our reality to be. The expansion is enabling that to happen in our realities. Okay, that's the energy if we align with it. So the potential is there for that to happen. And there's also a sextile between the moon and sun with Saturn. So these lessons that we've been learning is now starting to pay off because, of course, as we're learning the lessons and closing out cycles, detaching from that which doesn't serve us and opening up, freeing up space for new cycles to begin, this is, of course, allowing us now to have that space to create the reality that we want because we are closing out old cycles to start new cycles. So it's supporting the energy, which is perfect. And there's also a couple of other conjunctions happening in Aries. So I will come on to that. Without further ado, let's pull up the chart. By the way, this is the 4th time of me recording this. I've had fun and games already with the technology, and we're out of Mercury retrograde. So it's quite bizarre. But there we go. These things are sent to try us, aren't they? So here we are then, folks. The new moon in Taurus. And as I mentioned, 4:21 British summertime on the 8th of May. This is 4:21 a.m. Apply your own time zones as appropriate because it will be happening on the 7th of May for some people in the world. And here we have, okay, the sun and the moon, 18 degrees of Taurus. So for a new moon, the sun and the moon are conjunct, okay? When it's a full moon, the sun and the moon are opposite. So we've got this conjunction, and it's heightening the energy in Taurus because we've got the sun and the moon there, and we've also got Jupiter, Uranus, and of course Venus is now there. So Venus is at home in Taurus, and she's reminding us about where we're investing our resources. So when it comes to this fixed vision of what we want our reality to be, our physical reality to be, of course it's going to involve our investments, isn't it? Because the reality we're experiencing is going to involve investment of our time in certain things, investment of our attention in certain things, situations, people, whatever it might be. So she's reminding us that we need our investments of our Venus resources to be in alignment with our worth and values because she's in Taurus. And again, it's upholding our worth. Do I really feel like I need to invest more time in that area? Or maybe I need to put some boundaries up and invest less time in that area because I've understood my worth is greater than that. If it's something that we're really wanting to experience and we know that we're worthy of it, yeah, let's invest more time and energy in those areas. So the moon could be motivating us in terms of from an emotional place, okay, and being supported in that. The soul is understanding that in terms of that soul essence awareness of our worth and values. And then we've got Jupiter and Uranus, of course, supporting and heightening the energy of expansion and change. So where we are having to shift things and make changes, it's supporting us, but it needs to be in alignment with our worth and values, okay? Because it's Taurus energy. And it does relate to resources in that way. With that trine, so the trine is going up to Ceres in Capricorn. So again, Capricorn is earth energy. And this is about that expansion within our reality. But also Capricorn, because Saturn rules Capricorn, there can be some focus here on business endeavors. Okay, so it might be that we've got this fixed vision about what we want our working life to be, and Ceres can help support the nurturing aspect through this, and also that expansion of being open to more opportunities in that way, potentially, if we are in alignment with our worth and values, and if we've got that sort of Capricornian focus with it all. Now, Capricorn is cardinal earth energy, so that is all about getting things started. So if we've got the fixed vision of what we want our reality to be, and we know our worth and values from that earth energy of Taurus, then we can allow the Capricornian energy to get things started. Okay, let's expand this opportunity now. Let's open up this door of opportunity now, you know, that sort of thing. So working in harmony with that, but I can't emphasize it enough. It needs to come from our worth and values because of the Taurus energy, and to be open to change, to actually be open to change in accordance with our worth and values. We might go around saying we want change, we want change. Are we open to change? Because this is major change in our reality. Okay, so there's just that to be mindful of. And the sextile is represented by this purple line, if it appears purple on the screen, going up to Saturn in Pisces. So of course, Saturn in the house of the divine, he's been there for over a year now. So if you're familiar with his lessons, you're going to be familiar at this point. And trust me, they are not easy because they are Saturnian lessons. And he is in Pisces, the house of the divine. He's asking us to get into alignment with our spiritual truth. So really, really challenging us on the spiritual integrity point of view. Okay, how does it sit with you in the soul when certain things are said to you, when certain things happen? Does it really not sit well with your soul? Because that is questioning your spiritual integrity. We're needing to become more in alignment with our soul's truth. And often the mind can overcomplicate, overthink, or we respond from a place of ego and potentially even people pleasing, and we're not focusing on the soul's truth. So he is trying to get us in alignment with our spiritual truth. He's been doing a massive job of this, as has Pluto with the transformation, and I'll come on to that in a moment because he is now in retrograde. So this is deep transformation and major lessons we've been learning, okay? But those lessons are facilitating the deep transformation and vice versa, because as we're evolving, we could be getting tested more to make sure we have learned the lesson, okay? Again, if it's resonating with you, it's going to resonate with you. You're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. I will just mention with that Piscean energy, just staying on that for a moment, Neptune is of course in Pisces, but you'll notice that Neptune is 29 degrees. That is the final degrees a planet or planetary body can be in a sign before it moves to the next sign. And it can be the harsh degrees. It can be challenging. So with Neptune, of course, that is about the ethereal spiritual side, and being at home in Pisces, there is that supporting energy with our intuition. If we're open to listening and communicating with our intuition, of course, it is our inner compass after all. But we need to also recognize, and what was coming through to me when I first looked at this chart was about sabotage, self-sabotage, okay? And that's because of everything that we've gone through to get us to this point. We don't want to sabotage the work that we've already done by not believing that we're worthy of change, we're worthy of expansion, we're worthy of luck, we're worthy of success, we're worthy of being a sovereign soul, we're worthy of being the leader of our own life, making our own rules, making our own decisions, making our own choices. Okay, so that's just also something to be mindful of. That's something that was came through quite clear to me intuitively when I saw that. Okay, and of course, Neptune will then be moving into Aries. So, you know, let's really engage with our intuition to understand in this supporting energy with the new moon, because this is about what we want to manifest for our reality. Okay, excuse me. So what we've also got is we've got some squares going on. Now, they can be more challenging aspects. Okay, I mentioned about the trine to Ceres, which is, of course, from the sun and the moon. And also, there's a trine from Jupiter to Ceres and Uranus to Ceres. So again, opening up the windows and doors of opportunity, expansion, potentially in work, doesn't have to be, but where we can set our own rules, you know, we can have boundaries in place, we can, you know, do what we want to do in terms of our reality, the expansion of our reality, shaping it in that way. But the squares are actually from some of the Aries energy. So it could challenge our sovereignty a little bit. And bearing in mind, within Aries, we've got a couple of conjunctions happening at the time of this new moon. So first of all, we've got the North Node and past Fortuna at 15 degrees of Aries. So past Fortuna, the pot of fortune, moves very quickly. So this is why it's significant that at this time, it's actually at 15 degrees, forming this conjunction with the North Node. So North Node, our path, our purpose. This relates to sovereignty here because the North Node is in Aries. Of course, your North Node in your natal chart is going to tell you a bit more about your own specific path, purpose. Okay, but this is collectively, so it relates to us all. And we are all striving for sovereignty. We all want to be the leaders of our own lives, don't we? So this is really, really matching up with the energy of the moment. Okay, and the success that can come from this is about sovereignty. Okay, the success in relation to our purpose, the success in relation to our path relates to the self. Okay, it comes from the self. So the challenging aspect with Ceres and the expansion, the doors of opportunity that want to open, could be challenging our sovereignty if we don't know what our path and purpose is, or if we're not feeling worthy of our path purpose as a sovereign leader. That will also tie in, you see, with Chiron and Mercury, because Chiron and Mercury are both at 21 degrees, another conjunction. Obviously, the minutes are different here, but this is the degrees I'm talking about. Chiron represents our healing journey. So again, in your own natal chart, Chiron is going to show you your specific healing journey this lifetime. As a collective, we are currently healing our sovereignty. And Mercury is asking us to speak up, to stand up for ourselves through our expression, Mercury and Aries, in a confident way, in an empowered way. And because those two are together, this is part of the healing journey, to speak up for ourselves. And maybe we've not been able to do that. Maybe we've not felt worthy of doing that. See where I'm going with all of this? It links to the Taurus energy. So if we've not felt worthy of speaking up, expressing ourselves from that sovereign place, we've had to heal this. And that also could be why it's challenging us when we have these doors of potential opportunities opening for us that are going to allow for expansion, if it's a step out of the comfort zone. Because it's like, now I've really got to take ownership of my own self, of my own sovereignty, of my own path, purpose, and I need to express myself. And when we do that, that brings the success. Okay, past Fortuna, pot of fortune, it brings the success when it comes to the self, Aries energy. Okay, this is just indicating challenging energy. It could challenge us, because if we don't feel worthy of potential opportunities that are lining up for us in our reality, it's going to allow us to question our sovereignty, isn't it? Am I strong enough to do this? Am I good enough to do this? Am I good enough to take this offer? Am I? Don't know. So this is why it's getting us questioning our worth and values. Taurus energy. Okay, it's sovereignty, it's empowerment, but it's also worth and values underpinning all of that as well. Okay. Now, with the masculine and feminine energy, what's very interesting here, because there is this slight mirroring with this green line that's going across and the other green line that I've drawn. Okay. Mars is in Aries, also at home, because I mentioned Venus is at home in Taurus. Okay, one of her home signs. And they're forming trines. Mars is forming a trine with Pallas in Sagittarius, in retrograde currently. And Venus is forming a trine with Juno in Virgo. So the feminine energy of Virgo, the feminine energy of Venus is forming a trine, harmonious aspect, with Juno in Virgo. Taurus is fixed earth. Virgo is mutable earth, okay, which means it can flow. Juno, think of the energy of commitment, okay? It's essentially love and marriage, love and commitment, okay? So if we're understanding where we're investing our Venus energy, we can commit to things in order to clean up, Virgo, our reality, earth energy. Okay, so that's beautiful. That's harmonious. There is a quincunx with the orange line, if it's orange on your screen, to Lilith. And Lilith is shadow feminine. So shadow work that we're having to acknowledge, okay, fears, anxieties, doubts that could be coming up that we need to acknowledge, accept, heal, release, okay, could be relating to particularly aspects of fairness and reciprocity and justice, because Lilith is currently in Libra. Could also be about relationships as well, okay, because Libra rules the 7th house in astrology. So investments, if we look at investments from a Venus perspective in relationships, whatever relationships they might be, then shadow aspects might be coming up. This quincunx, which is really an in conjunction, it shows a kind of separate energy, really, is how I sort of visualize it. Almost like the shadow work that we're doing, even though it forms part of the bigger picture, we're having to kind of deal with that separately. Okay, we're having to look at our investments with that fixed vision in mind of what we're wanting to manifest, understanding that, yes, we've got to address the shadow aspects, but we kind of need to deal with them separately. Okay, sounds like a contradiction, doesn't it? Because it's all part of the same thing. But if we focus too much on maybe one of these aspects whilst we're trying to look at another, that could then just blur the lines a bit. It feels like shadow aspects relating to fairness and reciprocity need to be dealt with, okay, maybe in relationships. So yes, okay, that could highlight where perhaps we've not felt worthy enough in a certain relationship, if we're using that as an example, and therefore we're not sure whether we can invest our time in the same relationship, a different relationship. You know, it's kind of linked, but we still need to sort of deal with it in a detached way, is what I'm feeling. And with Mars, okay, the trine that's going to Pallas in Sagittarius, this is showing that the masculine energy is supporting and being supported by feminine energy, because Pallas is a feminine asteroid. It relates to love and beauty. So the self-love aspects that we've been discovering and learning, Sagittarius, throughout all of this journey of life and transformation and healing, is enabling the masculine to feel more empowered. So think of the masculine essence within us, because we've got both within us, to be more empowered to take action from a sovereign place, because we're understanding the self-love that we need to show ourselves. We've learned this, we've been discovering this, okay? And then also that shadow work that's been going on from the feminine perspective, fears of creation, maybe fears of manifestations need to be addressed kind of at the same time, okay? But there's also a quincunx, so an inconjunction between Mars and Juno. So I've said how Venus is in trine to Juno. Well, Mars is forming an inconjunction with Juno. So there is almost, again, this need to separate the idea of commitments from the action that needs to be taken from a sovereign place. Again, it can sound like a contradiction, because if we are committed to something, we are more likely to take action. However, this is about understanding that we need to come from a place of sovereignty, because Mars is in Aries, cardinal energy, taking action. The mutable energy of Virgo can then flow accordingly. So with action being taken, this could open up more opportunities for other commitments. Okay, it could also be symbolizing what's going on with soul contracts, because we've got Venus in trine to Juno and Mars with this quincunx. So the feminine energy is working harmoniously because it's based on investment of resources. So where are we investing our time? Where do we need to maybe invest more time? And the nurturing aspect that's coming from that. Whereas the masculine side needs to be taking action in accordance with our path and purpose. And the commitment side of it will flow as part of that with the mutable energy. That's how it feels to me. Okay. And there is, you know, this opposition energy anyway between Aries and Libra. So we know we've got Lilith in the South Node in Libra. So there is almost this kind of push-pull between sovereignty and striving for balance, equality, fairness, you know, that reciprocal energy. And South Node, this is stuff that could be coming up from the past or past life stuff. Lilith, that's shadow stuff. So it can be challenging that fairness aspect. But we're wanting to lay a fair foundation. And that's going to come from standing in our power as a sovereign leader of our own life. And with those conjunctions happening, as I mentioned, it's very healing and cathartic to speak up for oneself. We're being encouraged to do that. And also understanding our path and purpose as a sovereign leader of our own life. We're in charge of our path and our purpose. So we might need to express ourselves. It's very healing. It's all driven from this sovereignty. And Mars is there saying, let's go, let's take action on this, let's move forward. But we need to be mindful of the other aspects going on, where we do need to look at our investment energy, because this is about ultimately our worth and values, and knowing that as that base foundation, okay, of ourselves, of our reality that we're wanting to experience. We need to own our worth in relation to what we do want to experience. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Before I pull up the UK's chart, just a reminder that Pluto is now retrograde until October. So this is a period of introspection when it comes to deep transformation, not surface level, deep transformation. And he is in Aquarius. So this is all about potentially connecting with others in different ways, but definitely about a new, innovative way of being. The age of Aquarius, this is all about, okay, things are changing. And we are part of this change because, of course, we're trying to manifest the reality that we want to see in accordance with our spiritual truth. So realities are going to change because we're really being encouraged to be on our path, okay, our true path. So this is all about step out of comfort zones. It's, you know, it's new, and new can be scary, can be overwhelming, can be daunting. So he's now in retrograde. And it gives us that period of introspection to really kind of go within and reflect. Okay, since everything else that was going on with Pluto, and even when he first moved into Aquarius, what's happened since then? Well, there's probably been a lot of Saturnian lessons that we've learned. There's probably been a lot of empowerment of the sovereign self, and maybe we've really healed our throat chakra, and we've been speaking up for ourselves. So actually a lot has changed. And when you look back at 6 months ago, I'm sure you realize that you're a different person back then because of how you've evolved from that point. So we need to be proud of ourselves in terms of how far we've come. But because of that, things naturally change or need to change. We can't hold on to the old if we're trying to manifest the new. So Pluto is really saying, let's go deep here, deep to the depths of the soul. What do we still need to transform? And he's going to retrograde back into Capricorn as part of this retrograde. Okay, so he's going to clean house when it comes to structures that are not working for us anymore. Anything to do with our reality, Capricorn energy, systems, rules, boundaries, okay, karmic situations. He's going to be cleaning house. So it's another window of opportunity for that to happen, for us to get our house in order in that way before he then moves back into Aquarius. Okay, so it could feel quite intense when that happens because, again, the final degrees of a sign that can be challenging. And he's not messing around because he's wanting to really just transform and trudge all of that up, the stuff that we need to detach from. Okay, certainly, as I say, structures, systems, rules, boundaries, karmic situations. Okay, because think of Capricorn, think of the Saturn energy. So he's in retrograde. Introspect where you might need to still deeply transform, okay, in accordance with the new way that you want your reality to be shaped. Okay, right, let's now stop sharing that one, and I will pull up the UK's chart. This is just to give you some context on the house system, of course. Okay, and you can do the same with your natal chart. So we've got the inner wheel is the UK's natal chart. The outer wheel is the event I've just shown you. That is a freeze frame of the cosmos at the time of the new moon in Taurus. Okay, and for the UK, it's happening in the 11th house of connections with others. Okay, so reality, the physical reality that we are experiencing or that we want to experience within our connections with others needs to relate to our worth and values. So connections with others, that is to do with people. Okay, interestingly, in the 7th house of relationships, we've got Pluto, who's in retrograde, as I've just mentioned. So there could be something here within the UK collective, and it's not going to resonate for everybody. This is the energy based on collective natal information. Okay, with your own chart, it's more precise. I'll get off my soapbox now, but we've got Pluto here. So deep transformation within relationships in accordance with that new reality that we're wanting to experience. But that's not just relationships with people, that's places and things as well. However, when we look at the 11th house, that is connections with others. So there is something here about realities changing within our connections with others. Major expansive change happening in connections with others because Uranus and Taurus are also there. So it's heightening that energy. Venus is just on the cusp. She's in the 10th house of inner authority and work. So there's a little bit of Taurus there and a little bit of Aries. I was going to say there's a lot of Aries, but you know what I mean? It's mixing the two in that house. So the investments, where we're looking at our Venus investments, we do need to pay attention to our inner authority when it comes to that. Okay. She will obviously move into the 11th house. So that will then draw more emphasis on connections with others. So at the moment, this is about understanding for the UK collective, okay, where am I investing my resources that potentially challenge or disrupt my inner authority? And is that in alignment with my worth and values? And if it isn't, this is about now making the change, being open to the change as part of the new moon manifestations and intention settings. Okay, when she moves into the 11th house, this is about almost, it's almost like foreshadowing here, because it's kind of like she is going to move there. So being aware of any connections with others where investment of time, energy, attention, love, etc. need to be examined, okay, like an investment audit, to understand if those connections with others are in alignment with worth and values. Okay, that's the energy here. Now, the Aries stuff going on with the conjunctions, again, 10th house, so very much inner authority, sovereignty. There is big emphasis on that. And particularly with Chiron and Mercury at 21 degrees, the UK's natal sun is at 21 degrees Aries. So it's a conjunction on top of another conjunction, basically. So really heightening that soul essence energy of sovereignty. So sovereign soul energy. As a sovereign soul is your inner authority. You think Mercury was still in retrograde, wouldn't you? Really, oh, honestly, breathe, Kirsty. I think I'm trying to get this information out quicker than it's coming out. So there is a bit of channeling going on here. That's what I'm feeling. Okay, thanks for bearing with me. But yes, essentially, the sun. So this is about sovereign soul energy being heightened by the need to speak up, okay, and how that's healing the sovereignty, the sovereign soul in that way. Okay. With the, if I go back to the moon, the new moon, okay, so the moon and the sun, that trine to Ceres, the Ceres is in the 6th house. So opportunities could be opening up in your reality, or the potential for these within your daily routines and schedules. It could also be where you are of service to others, okay, because it's a 6th house. And the sextile with Saturn, that's going from the 11th house to the 9th house. So the Saturnian lessons have enabled us to learn and discover what it is we're needing to understand from a Saturnian point of view. And Saturn is 2 degrees off the UK's natal Jupiter. So there is expansion going on within this. There is kind of heightened energy on the expansive force within the soul, that Piscean energy, and the soul's integrity that is enabling us to learn more and discover more about what it is we have got to understand, what Saturn is teaching us, and where we do need to get in alignment with our spiritual truth. Okay, so Neptune is also there in the 9th house as well. Okay, I think that draws that to a conclusion. Let's stop sharing and I'll pull some cards if you're still with me. Okay, so first of all, I have the Queen of the Moon. Let's go with the Sovereign Queen deck first of all. Okay, let's just see what we've got, what the collective need to know for the new moon in Taurus. And of course, it's not going to resonate with everybody. This is based on collective energy. It's not going to resonate for everybody. That one wanted to be seen. And I don't know what it is yet. It's face down. Okay, what do we have, please, for the collective for the new moon in Taurus? Thank you. Surrender. Okay, yeah. Now, what I'm feeling with that, because when we are setting intentions and manifesting, there is that need to then surrender. So it's almost like setting your intentions to manifest. It needs to come from a place of divine alignment, but it's surrendering to the flow of how the universe is going to deliver it to you. Okay. And also surrendering to when this manifestation is going to materialize. Okay. If it's in alignment with divine truth, the universe will deliver it, but it might not be the way that you expect or want it to be delivered. The other message that's coming through to me with surrender is allowing the universe to do its job when it comes to manifestations. So it's being very clear. It's knowing your worth. It's being very clear in terms of what you're trying to manifest, and then surrendering. Okay, leaving it to the universe, not then saying the following day, where's my manifestation? So there is a big message about surrender here, surrendering to the outcome, surrendering, and that can be in our reality as well, you know, surrendering to the outcome of things, putting something out there and not knowing, you know, what's going to come back and all of that. Surrendering to the flow as well, the universal flow of life. Sounds cheesy, but, you know, surrendering to the flow. And that can be quite challenging, especially if we like to feel in control of our reality. Now, I don't want to confuse things, because I've said we are the driver of our own vehicle here. You know, we're captain of our own ship. We are the master of our own destiny. We're in the driving seat. So yes, of course, we need to take charge as a sovereign being of our reality. But this is about not being controlling of it. We need to be in control, but we need to surrender as well. I hope that makes sense. Wow, this is the one that wanted to be seen. And it's beautiful. Self-love. So it all starts with the self, okay? It all starts with the self. And that also ties in with worth and values, because we need to understand that we're worthy enough in order to attract that. Okay, if we don't believe we're worthy of it, we're not going to attract it. So it all does start with the self. Absolutely. That's a beautiful card. Okay. Moonology and manifestations. Please, for the new moon in Taurus. Excuse me. Let's just ground the energy back in, please. Thank you. Okay, new moon in Taurus for the collective, please. What do we have? Oh, what was I literally just saying? Thank you, Spirit. That is a synchronicity. Release control. Yeah, that ties into surrender, doesn't it? Release control. It's having control, but not being controlling. Okay. And that is actually Taurus energy. It is first quarter moon, but it's still Taurus energy. Okay. So the job is to be sovereign, to uphold your worth and values from that Taurian energy, to have that fixed vision of what you want, and to release control of it. I just split the deck, and the one that's come up in the middle is that one, speak your world into being. So again, that expression, Mercury and Aries, and how healing it is with the conjunction with Chiron, and really coming from a place of sovereignty, speaking up, okay, which might be really healing for the throat chakra if you've never had to do it before. Okay. Wisdom of the Oracle. See what we've got. Final messages, please, for the new moon in Taurus for the collective. Thank you. Message in a bottle. Thinker. Get one more. Go the distance. Okay. On the bottom, I was just drawn to that. We've got unfinished symphony. Now that one pops up usually when it's saying, okay, there might be something that you still need to finish off here. So when we talk about cycles closing out, well, that would be a finished symphony, wouldn't it? There is something unfinished here. So if you're detaching from a cycle, it could be that you're just tying up loose ends, okay? And that would indicate unfinished symphony. So there might be a need to go the distance. Okay, so almost at the finish line, not quite there. But if you're understanding with that fixed vision of what you want your reality to be, you can go the distance, achieve it, and that finishes the symphony. Okay, but let's not overthink. Okay, we want to avoid overthinking. We need to really try and connect with our intuition. It's card 44. So some of you may need to see that. That is a powerful master number, ascended masters, okay? Connect in via meditation if you need to, rather than overthinking it. Meditation from a place of that soul essence, okay? Because that could bring in the messages that you need. Now, you could be receiving a literal message that's going to potentially be an opportunity, because we saw that in the astrology about things opening up. If you're open to those opportunities and you believe from a worth and values point of view. Now, bearing in mind, and it's coming through now, with Saturn, okay, you need to also be discerning about opportunities, because it could be a further lesson or a test. You will know because of the soul connection, okay? Only you will know because of discerning if it's right. So there could be a literal message, but I also feel that this is to do with the meditation to connect in with source energy via your intuition as well. So messages coming through that way, but also potentially messages coming through that is going to help you in terms of maybe whatever you need to close off here, okay, to enable you to go the distance in whatever way. And it could be the support from a soulmate, okay. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I was just drawn to actually just turn over the Moonology deck again, and we've got take a reality check. So yeah, Capricorn energy, reality, okay, take a reality check on your situation. Does something need to finish? Okay, are you almost at the finish line? Great. Let's not overthink it. Let's try and receive those messages from your intuition. Let's show ourselves that self-love by honoring what needs to close out, because we're trying to move forward into a new reality. Let's surrender to the outcome and release control, but remain in the driving seat in terms of the fixed vision that we have for our reality. Okay, but let's be open to those opportunities that could present themselves to us, if we believe we're worthy of those opportunities. Because if we feel closed off, then they might not appear. Okay, so I know that can be easier said than done, especially navigating what we've had to go through with the healing journey and everything. But sovereignty is a massive part of this, and also the belief in worth and values. So as we evolve and transform, our values may change. That's a natural thing because we've evolved, so our values might change. So when we're looking at, you know, situations around us, or perhaps connections with others, if I look back at the UK's chart, that's where the new moon's happening, in the house of connections with others. So do those connections with others still align with your values? Or because you've transformed, is it kind of, well, I'm looking at the Venus energy here, am I investing too much time in that connection with this person, this group of people, because it doesn't really align with my values anymore? And that's okay, because I've evolved. Maybe I need to invest more time in this area, you know, because this person is actually aligning more with my values now. Do you see what I mean? So it feels arduous, but actually it's quite simple if we look at it from that perspective, and we own our worth and we know what our values are. We might need to put boundaries in place. This is about the reality we're trying to create for ourselves, but in a grounded way. Remember that Empress energy, sitting on the throne, the royal throne, not the toilet, sitting on the throne, upholding one's sovereignty and understanding, I know exactly what I want to create for my life, and I've got the power to do it because I believe in myself. I am worthy of this, and I am going to be open to the change that needs to happen in alignment with my soul. Okay, that abundance, that groundedness of knowing who you are. Okay, that's what the energy is calling for in terms of these manifestations. So thank you for bearing with me if you stuck with me for this long. Sending you new moon blessings, of course, and yeah, until the next time, take care of you. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.